Cool. We're good. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, Terrence.
What's up, brother?
Jocelyn and Arlene.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Before we get started on the reason, kind of the reason why you guys are here, Terrence has this knack for coming on the show and bringing on different guests. I think this is his third or fourth time already, and he's been on the show with 7 different people.
So he's like a recruiter then.
Yeah, because the first 3 were language ones. Yeah. So you guys know that he's heavily into, the Harao Academy and.
Yes, he is.
My
we hear it on the radio.
Or ongoing part-time, yeah.
Oh, that's great though. That's a good push.
But I'm still glad to continue that, man.
Yeah, but now you've taken the next step, and then you've connected with yourself with these ladies.
Yeah.
And who just so happen to be the first. Is it the first, or is it like the first in a long time kind of deal?
In a long time. The first in a long time. There were ladies that came before us. So yes. It's just been a long time since they've hired one. I think the
last one just retired recently.
Yes.
Probably within the last
2-3 years.
Yeah.
So that means she had at least 20 years of service.
Yes, she had a very long career with GFD.
Yeah.
And she was by herself for a while, so.
Well, she's one of the women that paved the way for me and R.
Yeah, but what made you guys kind of want to pursue that? I mean, I feel like for anybody who becomes a firefighter, it literally has to be a calling. I don't think it's the easiest job to do, because even though when you guys do work, it's like kicking back a lot. No.
Training. We actually we do a lot of training.
Is that a stereotypical?
It's super is a stereotype. Yeah.
It's pretty busy. We get a lot of runs, and then when we don't have runs and we do have downtime, then we do our training. Yeah. So there's always something going on. It's never a stagnant day at fire.
We don't sleep and play ping pong all the time.
No, and lift weights.
You're right. You know, it is
I have not found the ping pong.
I mean, every fire station I've driven by, it's like there's some dude lifting weights.
Yeah.
There's some dude on the bench.
Well, physical fitness is a big deal. So every day we are required to do some sort of physical fitness. So when you drive by towards the late afternoon, you'll see some of the fire guys outside. And
what are shifts like? Are they like your typical 8-hour shift, or are you looking
24-hour shift?
24 hours on, 24 hours off.
Yes.
Every other day.
Every other day.
Yeah.
No breaks.
You do get your regular days off.
Regular days off.
Your shift goes to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your shift would be on, but you'd be off, I guess you say.
Okay. Let's back up. Back up. What I mentioned that it's a calling. It seems like a calling. So what made? I guess each of you guys can just go down the road or down the line, right? Of why you would want to pursue something like this.
Well, for me, I guess it was something I saw as a challenge to myself. Individual challenge is something to get out there and also challenge myself, but also give back to the community. Although I'm not from Guam, I was born and raised in Saipan. I do live here now. So,
but you're Palauan. Yeah?
I am Palauan.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
When did your family move to?
Actually, my sisters.
Can you close those lights there?
Yeah, my sister's. She moved here probably like around 2007 from Saipan. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Saipan. Left for the military when I was 19. Was out in the States. I did not come here until 2014, and from there I just stayed back.
And that's when you decided sort of this is the path? Because I'm sure it's not like a 4-month path, right?
No.
It's a long journey.
Been a long journey, yeah. So
I was actually working for another company. Fire didn't really hit me until I met somebody from the fire department, and we were discussing their everyday lives, what they do, how they help others, and in a way it's like being a blessing to everybody else that is in need.
Yeah, for sure.
And
a lot of people don't think that there's a lot going on Guam, but there's a lot that you don't hear about.
Exactly.
That the media doesn't doesn't exactly.
Yeah, they don't.
It's a very, very dynamic job. Like you said earlier, it's a stereotype. I mean, a lot of jobs, like you said, they're 8-hour shifts, and you go there with a set thing to do. You know,
structured.
Get this
You
done.
do the same thing over and over again.
And people, I think people need to get that out of their heads, because as a peace officer, you know, a firefighter, a police officer, you're responding to emergencies. So when people think, oh, they're not really working, it's almost as if, you know, you want emergencies to happen so you can see them working, which makes no sense. So
yeah,
when they're not responding to emergencies,
that means Guam is safe.
Guam is safe, and they're training to respond to that next emergency. So it's a lot of, yeah.
I think training too is also like a big thing, because you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You never know what call is gonna come in, so you have to prep yourself to be able to respond accordingly.
Wait, you said your prior service.
Yes, sir.
So,
Sorry.
Have to call me sir.
Habit. It's a habit.
So I mean, right there, it was already preparing you for
Yeah.
sort of something that required a strenuous journey, right?
Yes. Strenuous.
Or long, arduous.
Arduous?
Is the word that I'm looking for. Arduous. Google that word, please.
No. So yeah, I did 6 years in the Army.
Okay.
Active duty, out in Fort Hood, Texas. But the reason why I actually came back this way is because my father passed in 2014, and when I got here, my sister, of course, doesn't want, you know, I'm the baby sister, so she's like, no, just why don't you stay for, you know, a couple months, and then a couple months turned to let's go get all your stuff and bring it back here. And now I'm here.
You didn't have much stuff out there, right? Yeah. So let's go get it. But I'm sure the island life again.
Yeah. And then
the most attractive thing, yeah.
Yes. Very different. The only thing I miss about the States is the food.
Yeah.
All the choices of food.
Yeah.
But
I was just out in the States, and I was in Arizona, and pretty much every other block there was like tacos, there was burgers, In-N-Out. Oh, now there's In-N-Out down there. So it's like Shake Shack. Phoenix has literally everything now.
Tacos are my thing.
Gosh.
I'll eat tacos even.
Sonic. You guys ever had Sonic?
Yes. I like
yes,
the ice.
yes.
Their ice chips.
Yeah, right? The ice that they put with the limeade?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you never had Sonic before? Oh, gosh.
We're going to travel, sis.
Yeah. If you go to the Southwest, go find a training in the Southwest.
Hey, guys. You know, me and Sib, we really want to go somewhere. I don't know. That's going to fly.
We're not.
After they hear this.
You know what?
You too.
Jocelyn, how what was the? I guess this is how we'll run the podcast. We'll kind of like, until you guys loosen up and get comfortable with asking each other stuff. But it's what is sort of the starting point for
fire
for you? Yeah. At least
well,
the last 5 years, right? Because we kind of spent the last 5 years. Yeah. Or if it's a longer journey, then
it's been a very long journey. But I was actually a firefighter in the state of Mai for almost 10 years. And when I left that to come out here, I always felt like there was just something missing. I really missed being an emergency medic. I missed, being on the ambulance and meeting different people and trying my best to kind of help in whatever way. And that was not really, I would say, a specialty, but that was my biggest interest. That was what really made me happy. And, they always say, if you don't like what it is that you get up to do, then you're probably doing the wrong thing. And I always loved being a medic. So when I came out here, I had different paths, and I worked at the school for a little bit. I worked at another government agency for a little bit. I even worked for a private ambulance company. And, I just always felt like, man, if I ever had that opportunity to do that again, it'd be like the most amazing thing in the world. So GFD actually had an opening, and my mom calls me and she's like, you should apply. And I said, man, Mom,
is it like an open call? Is that what it is?
It was just like it was like an announcement.
Like DOA.
Yeah, DOA. They
fire recruit opening.
So my mom calls me and she goes, Agal, you should try this. You should apply. And I said, man, Mom, I don't think I'll make it. I'm in my 30s. Last time I did a fire academy was 10 years ago. You know, I just had a baby. She said,
"Did you guys know each other in the cinema?"
No, we didn't.
Oh, okay.
We went to the same high school, but
okay.
our paths never crossed before.
Okay.
So, my mom really encouraged me to go apply, which is funny because she was the one that encouraged me to apply for fire the first time around in the CNMI. So, I did that, and then I didn't hear anything for a long time. So I figured, man, they probably hired, someone, or they hired a whole bunch of other people. I didn't make it. I knew a lot of people that applied. And then, was it a letter, right? We got a letter saying that we needed to take a written test. And it was so funny because I just started my other government job. That was like that day. So I had to tell my boss, like, I'm going to go to DOA because I need to do something at DOA. And thank God she didn't ask me, like, well, what do you need to do? Oh, yeah, I need to go take a written test for another job, right?
Working on another job.
So I show
I
up.
have to let you go.
I show up and there's only men there. There's all these really fit, really like just, and I was like, wow. So I almost wanted to walk out. And then I kind of stuck it through. I took the written test. I kind of got up, I left, and I didn't know how I did. I didn't
They didn't have any females?
I was only female doing the test
Okay.
in that bout, but there were so many, there were so many scheduled written tests. Like
Right,
I think they were doing it for like 2 weeks straight or something like that.
So
Morning
maybe
and
like
afternoon.
a testing room of like 20 some.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So it was just a big room, and they gave you a desk, and they made you take a test. And I didn't hear anything for a while again. I said, man, I probably failed that
Over
test.
1,000 applicants.
Yeah.
They're gonna be grading it.
That was my next question. Is
Yeah.
how many people they're going through?
Over
So then-
1,000 easy.
They give us this number. They say, okay, they gave us a certain date. They say, go on the DOA website. If you see your number, it means you passed the test. So I go on the DOA website, and there's like hundreds of numbers. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go blind trying to figure this out. So I keep looking. I almost go cross-eyed, and then it says, so it has my number. I'm like, oh my God, I passed.
I remember going there shaking with my paper, like, oh.
I know.
Wait.
It was like,
Number.
What's my number again?
Okay.
man, I never.
000024. Okay.
So it was like that.
Oh my gosh, that's my number.
I was so nervous. And then
Yeah.
it said, it gave you right next to it or right above it, it said, okay, this is the date you go in for your physical fitness test. So physical fitness test comes the day of, right? I tell my husband, I said, honey, I'm going to go take my physical fitness test. And he said, good luck, hon. Like, I'm there for you, right?
Have you been training prior?
Isn't that the same
No.
shirt you wore
No.
to the physical fitness?
This is the same shirt. I believe, yes, it is actually the same shirt.
Somebody saved you that day.
So I get to I'm nervous, right? It's like at 8:30 in the morning or whatever. And I drive by, I see the rescue truck, I see the fire truck. I say, oh my God, this thing looks really hard. So I do what any normal person would have done. I went and bought a dozen donuts.
Gotta prep.
And I sat in my car and I ate every single one of those donuts. I had like a king car. And finally I get enough courage to get
Supposed
down.
to carb up the night before.
Yeah.
Not right before. They say the night before.
Yeah.
I ate pasta the night before.
You're a letter off.
No, but what's funny was I actually sat next to R.
Yeah.
And I was, everybody had like their water and their hydro flasks and all of that. And everybody was like, prepping. And here I am going like, do you want donuts?
Yeah,
you
that's
want
right.
snacks?
You were asking.
Yeah, I was asking people, you want donuts?
Trying to
Nobody-
sabotage them.
No one wants to take a donut. I felt so out of place.
Seriously, ready for a physical?
I don't want to throw up.
I'm a
over
nervous
here.
eater. I'm a nervous eater. So, but anyways, we take the physical fitness test. It's funny, right? Because I go before R and then I tell her
Wait,
like,
is this something you guys all took together?
No.
we took it on
We took
separate
it, yes,
days, but
but-
me and her took it together on the same day.
Okay.
So I go before her and then I tell her like, go really slow on the steps. Like there's
Save all your energy for
save
the dummy drag.
save all your energy for the dummy drag. I know this from like when I
Save
was
the donuts for the end.
from my previous job. I know this.
Save the afterburners.
So it's like from my previous job, trust me, I know this. Like, look at those guys. They're really burning themselves out like early, like save your energy for the end. So I go and I do mine before hers, right? And I'm like, I get done and they walk me over and they said, do you need oxygen? Are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm great. Then I go over to her and I tell her like, oh man, sis, good luck. Like I really need to go somewhere. I don't really have much time. So like I walk past and it's like maybe 500 feet, right? I walk past all these firefighters. They're like, good job, girl, you know, and I'll say, good luck. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. I'm waving and everything. I get in my car and my legs give out. I start crying. I'm like huffing and puffing. It took all my energy to pretend like I wasn't dying. So
you did good though. I couldn't tell.
I couldn't even put my car in the freaking
Do you train on the daily? Like before?
No, before that.
Oh, okay.
I did Insanity. That was my workout.
Okay.
So
I watched that.
I watched it.
I watch it. I don't do it though.
That's a movie from the 90s, right?
That's real good.
So that's what I
like when you really starts to pick up.
When it's picking up, that's when I'm like,
wow,
I'm not done yet.
He looks tired.
I tried to do like, you know how they have like the first few minutes is like a warm up. I thought that was the whole thing.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to gear down.
honestly,
like, okay, now we're going to really pick it up.
I got lightheaded halfway through. I was like, oh man, dude, I don't know about all these level changes. It's like, I just finished smoking a cigarette too. You can't ask me to do these level changes.
Yeah, so, but that was the first time I met R, and it was crazy because we didn't realize we were both from the scene of my. We kept running into each other afterwards, you know,
at Linda's, at DOA.
We ran into each other at DOA. So we just kept on wishing each other good luck. Like, hey, good luck. I hope you make it and all of this. And
were you the only two applicants?
No,
there
I
was
believe
more.
there were a few more.
There was another girl that also took it the same day we took our physical. So she was there that I saw.
But I think
I heard there was more.
Yeah, me and R kind of like made a connection with the whole, you know, we just kept running into each other. And every time we did, we were just like, good luck, sis. And, you know.
Did you hear anything? No. Did you? No. Dang, it's taking forever. Did they hire anybody yet?
It was almost like 2 years.
Dude, yeah.
For the whole process, yeah. You know, but they picked up a lot of people. I mean, you know, it was 45 of us that ended up getting selected, but
and it's considered a cycle, yeah.
Yes, it's a cycle, but you got to remember there wasn't really many cycles from the previous one. It's been a few years since the previous one.
I think it was like what, 5?
That's
yeah. I think you know Brandon, right? Well, now you do.
Yeah.
I mean, he's. I think he was in the last cycle that I can remember.
Yeah. So it's been a while. It seems like it's a large number, the 45, but you got to remember that
we didn't even make a dent in the department.
Yeah. It's
really.
It's been so many years since they've had a cycle that, you know, even if they hired 10 people a year, it was still, you know, by the time the 5-year mark would have come around, it would have been the 45.
There's already several retired.
Yeah. So. It was an interesting journey. I was so surprised that me and R ended up both being from the scene of mine, because they were asking, it was like a few weeks into academy, and they were asking, oh, what high schools did you guys graduate from? And then we weren't even sitting next to each other. We were kind of like separated, and then they said, okay, how about Mariana's high school? And me and her stand up, and we're like, Saipan! Yeah! Like from one end of the room to the other end of the room, and it was
took your chair and you walked across and you sat it right next to her, right? We're sitting next to each other the rest of this.
Yeah. So, and then after that, you know, it was just like very natural.
Just stuck together. We even get in trouble for being sticking together. Like, you two again?
Why are you two always together? So we're supposed to be together, right?
We are the only females.
No, my favorite is the haircut inspection.
Oh. Yeah, we do haircut inspections.
These two would automatically fail because.
Why don't you cut your hair?
Oh, and I showed up to academy first day with blue hair.
Oh no.
Blue hair, and it was like, oh gosh, do you think I'm gonna get away with this? And well, obviously I didn't get away with it. But yeah, everybody was like, is your hair blue? I'm like, no, it's black. They're like, it looks blue.
Yeah, it's just the sun.
Just the lighting in here.
The way the sun is.
Yeah, so my cadre finally catches on, and he's like, Sablan, what color is your hair? And I'm like, it's black, sir. And he's like, that's a pretty talented beautician to let you think that's black hair. Yes, sir. He said, I know what you're going to do this weekend. Yes, sir.
Got it. Tracking.
I'll fix that before Monday.
Terrence, how did you get into the whole journey, I guess?
I am not from Saipan. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I love Saipan.
I was actually supposed to be there yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
You said Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't work out. I was kind of disappointed, but anyways,
well, you could take me in R with you.
I'm trying to
get back there.
I'm trying to get there Friday. So, anyways, go ahead.
So literally, my calling was February 28th, 10 p.m., 2013. So specific, right? So like I shared with you before.
Sounds like you put it in your diary too.
That was that was the night of my serious accident. And,
okay.
That was just to be on that side of the.
Damn, now I feel bad.
That end of it.
You're horrible.
We could joke about it now. We could joke about it now. I made it out of it. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But seriously, that night was like I really can't. I don't know too many people who have this experience, but to get into an accident and like be convinced of your death and like slowly fading away, and then emergency response pulls up and you still feel like you're dying, but they're literally pulling you out of your burning vehicle. And I just like I said, to be on that side of the receiving end of care, and it was really crazy that night because my dad was off and he ended up just getting in the rig with us and, just holding my hand and keeping me awake until we got to Naval Hospital. So, yeah, I had to go to Naval Hospital because it was the closest facility and to stabilize me and getting out of that, like, literally getting a second chance at life was, it was really, it's super important to me, and it didn't manifest itself until the fire recruit announcement came out, and I was like, man, I think this is the one thing that will. You knew that was gonna put me at peace, yeah. Like, and it's not like I was like I liked what I was doing, I had a couple jobs, and then I'm still at her house. So, but for that specific night in my life, this is I get to do this. I get to do that for the rest of my life.
Be that for somebody else.
Yeah, I automatically assumed that it was because your dad was a firefighter.
That's that too. Obviously, I'm definitely.
But it's definitely not something that you had placed in your plans.
Straight up, my dad didn't experience anything like that, and it's nice to have. Did your dad ever like encourage you to try and join, or any of you or your brother? No, and that's the thing, he maybe because he knows, right? And yeah. And so, it's nice to have an experience all my own. And I would love to follow in his footsteps, or I am, hopefully. And it's a lot big shoes to fill, literally and figuratively. So, but, yeah.
I love how your dad goes on the radio and he's like, hurrah.
Dude, messes around too much, man.
Who's that? So he calls like his radio transmissions, like he'll say that his unit is heading out in the field or something, and his dad's in the. You can hear his dad on the.
All
radio.
The way down from Iran.
Hurrah!
Hurrah! Sir, 10:45, please.
Yeah. I'm not gonna 10:45 a captain. Heck no. Hurrah!
And what is that?
That's like, please, use your radio codes. Don't be messing around.
Yeah, use, proper radio.
It's not that my dad doesn't care. It's just that he's older than most of the people at dispatch, and
he must be very proud of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Have you met Terrence?
I mean, yes, yeah.
They look exactly the same.
I'm classmates and friends with his brother.
Oh, really?
So.
Gaff.
So yeah, that's why Terrence has been on the show 3 times.
Also, you just and Gavin go home.
And Gav's been on the show
like
twice.
No. But another funny story. So literally right before the academy, I was teaching over at Bishop, and same thing. I went to go take my test, and no one knew. I went to go take my physical, and no one knew. Then our letters came out, acceptance letters, and homegirl over here's daughter, who's in my class, right? We was just like during lunch, and she goes in front of everyone in 8th grade. She goes, "Hey, sir, congratulations! I heard you're gonna be a firefighter." And like 20 heads just look up and look at me, and I was like, and then I just walked away. And then I called her daughters. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you just tell everyone that? I was like, I just wanted to congratulate you. I was like.
Yeah, I think we were a lot of us were really secretive about it, just because we didn't want to jinx that whole process. every time I got a letter or a phone call, I felt like I got a little bit closer, you know? So I didn't want to...
One step closer.
I didn't want to, like, tell anybody and then jinx it, just ruin it for myself. And I waited. It was all... I didn't believe it until I got the letter, until they called me up and they said, come up to DOA. You need to come up and we have a letter for you. And I read the letter. And it said, here's your start date. Do you accept the position?
Start processing.
Man, and I went right back. I went right back to my job and I was like, I quit.
Thanks for having me.
Not only did I quit, this is my 11-day notice because Monday was a holiday. This is my 11-day notice. And then my boss is like,
no donuts.
My boss is like, what do you mean you quit? And I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to go over to GFD. And my boss is like, that's a great opportunity. Can we convince you to stay? And I was like, heck no. I'll help you. I'll put everything on a thumb drive. I'll put it right here. But
do you want me to start training the next person or?
And it was such a surprise, but they gave me a hard start date. And I was so excited when I got that letter. I was just like, oh my gosh, you know, like this is such an honor for me. Like maybe it's possible that I'll become an emergency medic again, which was always my passion, like I said, right? So I was so excited to quit my job, and I loved that job. It was a great job, but I was so excited to go. And I told her, I was like,
wink, over audio.
No. Wink. You know what's funny is every interview I ever had, they were like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I was like, man, if I could be a medic again, I'd be a medic. Like, you know, so I told my boss, I said, you remember the interview? I told you, right, that I wanted to be a medic. Well, guess what? I'm going to go.
A medic.
And so she couldn't blame me. She really, they wished me a lot of luck, but I was so just amazed that I got selected. I couldn't even believe it. The first day I showed up, I still couldn't believe it. I said, oh my God, these guys made a mistake. Didn't see the ID, you know.
You sure the number's right?
Yeah. So, but, you know, after the first few weeks, I figured, man, maybe they didn't make a mistake because they're still letting me come around.
I'm still here. I still have to report.
They still say my name wrong.
Milestones are very interesting, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you spend a long time trying to achieve something, and when you finally like feel yourself at that, you can feel the breeze coming over the peak, right? And you're like, oh my God, don't fuck this up. Like,
that was the whole time.
You know, like, I mean, every step of the way, I mean, every step of the way is more detailed, and your attention to detail and what you're doing. It's almost like your literal steps. Yeah. You're counting every grain of dirt you're pushing through the air. Like, oh, don't want to fuck this up, you know?
I do.
And I find that very interesting because, I mean, just like you guys, I achieved a milestone this year. I mean, it's like, and I spent 8 years trying to like reach it. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it's not as rigorous as you guys. I took an exam, and I took a couple of exams, right? And finally I became a professional engineer.
Nice.
So yeah. And I just found out this month, right? And to the very moment, I mean, what you were saying when you opened up the letter and you saw everything, to the very moment I like opened up the website, I was like, oh, yeah.
Did you have to take that test on a computer? And like,
no, it was written. And the way those exams are, people bring like libraries of books with like luggages and stuff. Me, I had one book in my backpack, you know, and a binder with like reference stuff. And I was one of two out of 9 to pass it, right? So
damn.
Yeah. With different disciplines and stuff like that, but you know, I get the feeling that you felt. You know, I'm sure you guys can share the same sentiment too,
so
right?
Literally like 2 months ago, we just had that. So we took the NREMT online. Yeah. It's such a stressful test. You have to go in a computer booth and you're by yourself, and it's online, and so you won't get notified till 24 hours later if you pass or not, and you only get 3 chances. And so the next morning, like I was telling these guys, you know, back at the academy, like I was like holding the laptop and I was like shaking, and I was like, enter. Okay, and then the page is loading, and all you see is the congratulations. And I took the laptop. I was like, Mom, are you reading the same thing? That says congratulations, right? They wouldn't tell me that if I failed, right? Yeah, that was so funny, man.
Congratulations. Please try again.
Yeah.
I think that night on our group chat, there was so much going on in our group chat. There was like thousands of messages.
People barely slept.
None of us, I was like, none of us slept, and we're all just waiting.
I think the website that you had to log on to might have crashed. There were so many of us trying to log on. Like,
there's like four of these people from Guam trying to load onto our website. Those might be hackers. Let's shut them down.
Why is there such a high? There's a big number of people trying to, and we were like, it said 24 to 48 hours. We were on there like 6 hours later, just like refresh the whole time. And
what does yours say? What does yours say?
Screenshot.
Nothing yet.
So is it like a pass fail? Also.
Yeah, it was. It was like a pass fail. They didn't even give you like a score. It was just like congratulations or nothing.
Yeah, that was like
Please try
mine.
again.
It was. I felt it the first time, and when you fail it, they give you a diagnostic.
Yeah, same.
And it's like,
they tell you
this is how you did to compared to everyone else. And you're like, oh, fuck, shitty.
Gotta study up more.
I think that was one of our biggest worries in the academy, was having to take that NREMT, and then it was just like, oh Lord,
Only because it's now our EMS is officially on the national standard level. Mm-hmm. We have our own protocols, but
emergency medical services.
Yes.
Okay.
So every EMT on Guam, every EMT for GFD, and I think for federal, right, Navy and.
Well, I think that's been a federal requirement for a long time. They've always hit that as a standard for them. But in recent years, I'd say maybe like 5 years ago or so, maybe a little bit less. I'm not sure of the exact time frame, but GFD did transition to start requiring their EMTs to become nationally registered. So there was a time that when you graduated academy, you didn't have to be nationally registered. You didn't have to take that exam. But in the way of advancement, right, they wanted to make sure that there was at least some sort of minimum standards. So they put that in, and as a challenge to their GFD EMTs and any EMT that wanted to be licensed through public health here. So GFD kind of coming from a department that didn't require that, they transitioned over a few years, and then now all of their firefighters are nationally registered. It was our academy our academy was the first academy that it was required at graduation. But
along with other certs.
They literally they weren't threatening us too. They were literally telling us, you guys, if you don't pass this test, you cannot be a firefighter because you need to be certified legally on the field to treat people.
So it was a transition
it was really scary.
They made a few years ago, but our academy was the first full-fledged academy that had to meet that requirement to be able to get promoted. But
it's important for you guys to be able to respond like that, right? I mean,
and it's a licensure requirement. Public health requires it of all EMTs that are to practice here in Guam. So, and then I think you're required to take the EMT course at GCC. We took that at GCC. That was where a lot of our courses were for our academy.
So you did a lot of schooling in these last 2 years.
An incredible amount of schooling. We had they issued us 70 pounds of books, and they're like, you have to show up.
Accountable. You have to bring them.
You have to show up
in perfect condition.
Here's 10 books. You have 6 months.
Items. They're all like 2 inches thick, and they're like, they're inspectable. I'm like, what the heck? So I got to iron my uniform and my book. Some of us didn't want to. We all opted to use the PDF version because nobody wanted to open up their books. Like, I don't want to crease the book.
Everybody had roller bags.
Yeah, everybody. It was for a while. I think GCC.
Half of us had luggages and roller bags.
Yeah, roller bags, just like full blown, like the big luggage you see the tourists with. That was what we were pulling around GCC for a while.
You guys were doing classes together, everyone together.
Yes. So the academy, so they do. It's like you do class from 8 to 3. 8 to 4.
So wait. So the acceptance letter was the acceptance to the academy.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
So you still have to pass the academy.
That's what we were talking about. Not to jinx it, not to mess it up. You got into the academy, but you still can't jack this up because, like I said, you have to.
And how long is the academy?
It was 6 months.
Okay.
But previous cycles have had it almost a year. I've heard some of them have hit
a year to 18 months.
Yeah, a year to 18 months in the previous cycle.
Ours was really pressured for the certs.
So
So I just like I said, that it was, looking back, that's the funniest thing. You just see a bunch of guys and girls in red shirts pulling luggages down to GCC Health Center.
Look like pilots in our Class A's.
Yeah, we look like we.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we kind of looked all right in the Class A's, but the Class B's are red shirts with our blue pants. Man, I hated that thing. Everywhere we went, everybody knew who we were. We didn't have GFD written on nothing. But
And
it was
it's our last name in the back, so
And
everyone can see who you are and everyone knows.
So we'd all try to change in the parking lot once they dismissed us. Just try and change in the parking lot. Please don't leave the fence. Like, don't come out of the gate looking like that because, but yeah, if you saw us PT like in Tiza, and you couldn't miss us. It was just like a wall of 40 people in red running, and it was horrible because the
Red
shorts,
shirt,
red shorts, red shirt,
white
red
socks.
hat. Like, it was crazy. They really went back to the old style. That's why I think they wanted to be a little bit more what's that? I don't know how you would call it, but they just kind of wanted to flash back to like the 70s or the 80s, how they do it.
As soon as I started, my
In the
dad
short.
went looking for his red shirts. It was funny.
It was a good experience. Now that it's over, I'm gonna say that because if you had asked me in the middle of it, I would have been crying. Like, I'm so
I have to read 4 chapters in 2 hours, and they're 80 pages each.
No, then we would get something like.
So you would have to literally quit your job to dedicate yourself into.
Yeah. It was an easy choice though.
Yeah.
After I got a notice that said, hey, you know,
Can't be
that
doing no part-time
you were
job at
accepted into the academy.
no.
Kings or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm thinking
bye.
about it. Well, one of ours did.
Yeah, one of
I
our
don't know
guys
how he
actually,
did it, but
He got
pulled
special
through.
permission, and, you know.
But
did that he needs.
yeah, his second job didn't interfere with the academy hours. That was the priority, and then he would actually work like, I think we get out at 6 sometimes after PT. He'll go into his other job at 8. He'll get off like 3 or 4 in the morning, get ready for academy, and come in the next day.
yeah, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah, and he
You're taking
did real
supplements or something like that.
And so it's the same guy, and he planned our graduation.
and he planned
Yeah.
our graduation.
He
did
so
a
check
great
it.
He
job
just
too.
got it in him. He just got it in him.
Closer to graduation, as we talked to him,
He took
would
all
just
that
like
stress.
stare at us for like 5 seconds before he answered, and I was like, I think he's
But, like,
loading.
you gotta
I think he's loading. He's backed up right now.
Buffering still.
He's like, and it was hard for him because there's 41 of us that were like,
For
hey,
real.
bro, do you mind if you could like do this one thing for me? But there's 40 of us are asking for one thing, and he's got all that going on plus a second job, and and then he's a dad too. So we were just like, every time I texted him like,
Props
hey,
to you.
about graduation.
You're like second guessing texting him like,
Right.
maybe I should wait an hour. Wait an hour.
But he's a true champ. He came out, he
is.
planned the graduation. It turned out great. He really outdid himself, and he was just a team player about it. He never lost his patience on any of us. I would have lost my mind.
Be like, you know what? Everybody, just shut up.
Right. A feeling of graduating, just now that it's over.
Oh, graduation day was a big one. I was gonna cry.
Oh man.
Did you cry, Terrence?
A little bit.
No.
No.
We were
A
crying.
little bit.
I was focused on.
Teared?
I was focused on playing the song and not jacking it up. So
He's our
Wow.
resident musician.
Right.
So
Music.
Yeah.
we just adopted JJ Conception's song,
Tata Guafi. Yeah.
Tata Guafi song, and that was our everyday. So we say the Pledge of Allegiance, Nogi Chamorro, Inafresi,
We'll sing that song.
Fireman's Prayer, and then we had to sing that song. And
I think we did pretty good. I think
Sounded good.
yeah, JJ's heard us a few times.
so no, I didn't cry. I was concentrating on the song.
I didn't have time.
Yeah.
Don't
So
miss
you
the
weren't the
next
one that
verse.
was bawling.
No.
You were in the same row. No.
Yeah,
graduation.
before, right? So just get it out now.
But you cannot imagine how long it possibly takes to graduate 42 fire recruits. Yeah, it took a long time to graduate us.
They
Mike,
chopped up the.
They told us you had to sit in attention. And I was like a 2-hour ceremony. My fingers were getting
Don't
numb.
move.
Yeah, we
Don't
gotta sit with our
smile,
hands on our
don't-
lap and look straight. Don't turn. Don't do anything.
Yeah,
Don't
so
sweat.
I had to like sit there like a statue for 2 hours. I almost fell off the stage. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but I almost fell off the stage when I was marching.
You were right there in the corner.
Because my shoes were too big. The whole academy. My shoes were too big for the whole. I wore double socks every day because my shoes were too big. So graduation day, I don't know why I decided to wear one pair of socks. So my feet were flying out of the feet were flying out of my low quarters.
And you made it through.
I almost tripped and broke my front teeth, man. That would have been really embarrassing. Could you imagine all the seasoned firefighters that were in the room?
They would all just get up and help you.
Somebody call a medic. We're all here.
She couldn't even make it through graduation without injuring herself. Could you imagine how she could be in the field? But I tripped a little bit, and then I kind of went back to my seat.
Yeah, what is the major change in your thought about? I mean, besides you, Jocelyn, because you have experience in firefighting, but at least for you guys, you know, like even though you grew up with it, you never really had an idea of everything. Now that you're done with the academy and done with and hitting the road, what are your thoughts? How has your thoughts changed about firefighting from the beginning to
like
to
right
now?
off the bat, I felt like, man, this is not a job. This is a responsibility.
Yes.
It's a heavy responsibility because we're literally talking about people's lives on the line, between saving them
and the spectrum is of the type of responses that you guys are.
Yeah.
It's a big spectrum because
It's almost anything that can be done can also be done by a firefighter. You know, water rescue, any type of land rescue, those kind of things, any kind of emergency services you can call, you know. They kind of like dip into so many different things. Like, it's so funny because then in addition to all the other stuff we do, they also do a lot of community outreach. Like right now we're doing the Santa runs, which is obviously Santa. I have to say Terrence was Santa, but
I stepped up.
he can be Santa.
I stepped up, okay.
You know,
No, but yeah, a lot of public service.
they do everything from saving lives and helping people. And if you call 911 and you don't know what it exactly that you need, a firefighter will come if that's, you know, and they'll try and figure it out.
So you just can't be a firefighter. You have to almost be built for it.
Yeah, and I think the whole 6 months of academy was kind of a really good prep for that because they really did. They broke us down. They kind of stripped everybody down, and it was
up like a boot camp.
It was about how
Real
much
hard.
heart you had and how much pressure you could take, and you know, some people are gonna call 911 and it's gonna be a difficult situation, and are you gonna be able to still be professional in that account? And so it was funny because that was what was hammered into us in the academy.
The emotional aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, just because, so the 6 months of constant in your face boot camp style, it's literally so they know that if you can handle 6 months straight of that, you can get out into the field and you can handle, because a lot of our response, or commonly most of our responses, will be to people who are
panicking,
in distress, who are yelling at people who are.
Yeah, but the thing about it on Guam, it could be people you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's also
That's
I mean, that's the emotional distress. There is like, how do I act professional? Or I can imagine, right? Okay.
So how they got us for that is, if any of our family members or anyone that knows us talk to our cadres, they would come back the next day and make us do push-ups for it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wait.
They just call your name out.
Say that again.
So the cadres, they didn't like being talked to outside of the academy
about us.
So someone would come up to our cadre and be like, "Hey, so and so's in the academy. How is he doing?" And they were like, "Oh, I don't want to hear that right now." So they'd come back the next day and they'd be like, "Diego,
call your last name and just do push-ups.
so and so was talking to me about you yesterday.
Dang.
Just your younger
And you know what
brother
I
coming
told
up
them? I
purposely.
told them
Knock it out." So we'd have to just do push-ups
and that was the thing. They exposed us to that side, and then we graduated, and then now it's like the holiday season, and GFD also does a lot of community work. You know, like recently they put out a lot of public education material, and they've done the holiday tips. How to stay safe during the holidays, especially, you know, with lighting and your Christmas tree and stuff like that. And then we do the Santa runs. I can't stop. So Terrence volunteers to be Santa. And you know,
I feel like we just rewound into the podcast.
Yeah. That's an amazing story.
I
Terrence.
tried to change the subject. Josh so
no, we had to go back to it.
skillfully came back to it.
No, but you got to remember, like, I don't know, growing up, I remember Santa being on a fire truck.
On a fire truck.
He
Yeah,
came
Guam,
through-
right? I
yeah.
think everyone has that memory.
So that's like something you associate in the holidays. Like, oh my gosh, Santa comes on a fire truck. Like, you know, he's Santa on Christmas Day, and then the
You
rest
just
of the
can't
year he's
fall
just a
off.
fireman.
Then you're ruined.
Yeah, you know what?
Every child from today forward.
Santa used to be
this
at the top of the
Christmas.
fire truck. Now he just gets out.
Yeah.
I was on the top though. I went up to the top. I was trained to get up there.
So, but that's always been an association. Like, that was one of my
Yeah.
greatest memories. That's my first memory of ever seeing a fire truck. Was Santa was on a fire truck throwing candy at us. You know, fast pitch, but we didn't care. So it was hard candy. But you know, and then to see that they still do that, I wasn't aware that GFD was doing that, and to see that they still do that, and they go to the schools and kids get to see that and experience that. That was just an amazing thing for me to be able to, like, wow, they still give those memories to kids, you know, and that was great. Santa.
But it's never roses and romance, right?
Yeah.
No. That's one of the highlights, though. That's one of the I guess the rewards was, you know, to be able to do stuff like that, to see the kids' faces. A lot of times it's going to be the emergency calls. It's going to be the middle of the night, and it's going to be the people in distress, or people stressed, or people scared and needing you to be that, you know, what's that? I'm not
Or
gonna-
like their
Yeah.
comfort in a way.
Did you have any trouble with the emotional aspect of it? I mean,
You know
the
what?
army
Actually,
would break you down.
it's
Right.
easier to respond to people you don't know. Like for me, in personal experience, just a couple weeks ago, my uncle had a stroke. He had a mini stroke, and some of our brothers responded to him. And I was at the hospital because I just finished one of my runs. So I was, you know, doing my paperwork and everything. And then my sister calls me, and then one of the guys get on the phone, and they're like, "Hey, we have your uncle. Don't worry." But even with me just not responding, it still kind of bothered me. You know, like I kind of lost my footing, so I had to
Right.
yeah.
Get that
Yeah.
little small disorientation.
Yes. So I'm like, dang, what if I was the one that responded to that call? Like, you know, how would I react right there? Because it's my uncle. That's, you know, I'm close to him. I'm like, dang, that's going to be hard. And it kind of brought me back to like, to think like, how would I, you know, in the future, because I know just that, hearing that one of my brothers responded to my uncle and is bringing him to the hospital.
Right.
That bothered me already. How would I be if I responded to somebody that I knew, like, you know, my friend or whatever?
Yeah.
And that's something I need to train myself on.
And I think that's what
emotionally
would come with experience,
Yes.
right? I grew up at a mortuary, so the way I look at death and the way I view death is completely different from 99% of the people that I meet.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't worked in the funeral home in many years. Matt is still experiencing it till this day, but I'm sure his outlook is just as different as mine, right? So me and Polly Eric Forbes talked about this on a previous podcast, and we talked about death, and you almost, not in a negative way, become numb, right? Because of your exposure. When you're constantly exposed to something, it doesn't hit you the same
It's
way
hard,
that it may be the first time.
the
you
first time
experience
around,
it, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah. That's something I know I need to work on.
I
you
think
know, as
for-
far as,
And I think for
emotional.
EMS too, that numbness, I think there's a positive side to it as far as responding to emergencies, because the more you're used to it, the more you can be proficient at responding to it, and you can work faster and better and
provide
right,
better
because
treatment.
not
Have
only are you
cleaner
trying
work.
to treat the patient, you're trying to treat the family of the or the person in crisis, right?
so
Console
like,
them in a way.
you know what to do. You already experienced this before. You can react better and you can treat better from your experience. And it's not that you're numb to seeing a bloody scene. It's just you know what to do now already. And so
Yeah, I mean, numb.
It's
Can't
not
wait
as
to get
shocking,
I mean,
I guess, when you see it.
numb has that sort of negative connotation to
yeah.
it
Yeah.
when
Taboo
you say it,
sound.
right? So I mean, but that's what it is, right? And it's like, because of the just the constant exposure, and you guys are doing it day in, day out, right? So
I think for the stations we're at, it's nice to start getting these experiences right away.
yeah, for sure.
Early on.
In these higher.
Yeah, because there's nothing better than experience. You can sit in the book and teach someone how to be anything, right? Until you throw them out into the field, and they're like, "Wait, hold on, I worked in the library."
That's not what the book says.
This isn't perfect. Hold on.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me. Next question in the book's gonna be. Yeah, nothing ever works out.
Breaking out the handbook. Well, hold on, and figure out how to respond to this real quick.
Yeah, it never really works out the way it's printed in the book, right? It's just like a perfect scenario in the book. You have all the manpower that you need and all of that. But when you get on scene, it's like everything's crazy. There's so many factors that kind of... Well, one thing that scares me all the time is like, they always say first thing we're supposed to do is make sure that, everything's safe, that, there's no hazards and stuff. And man, you should see me. Like I'll be going somewhere, we get a response, and then a dog will start barking, and I'm freaking out, like, because dog bites hurt so much. I've been bitten by a dog. I'm like, like PTSD with the dog thing. I'm like,
the academy didn't tell us about angry dogs.
This wasn't in the book.
I'm like, what do I do? Do we need to call the cadres back? I think we need to go back one more week and talk about the dogs. But everybody has a dog here, and it's like it's a common thing. And I'm not really. We walk into the house and you do hear a dog bark, I'm freaking out. Like, where's the dog? Like, and what's that? It's just one of those things that, in the book it doesn't really stick out to you. So,
can you note some major differences between being in GFD and then being in CNMI fire? Being a CNMI fighter. Fighter.
So I think the one of the things that came off right off the bat was the number or the sheer volume of runs that GFD responds to. So the CNMI we don't have as many medic runs, but we don't have as large a population.
Yeah, what's the population of CNMI there, Matt?
Yeah, what is the current population?
You have to turn it on just so you can yell it out to us.
Versus Guam, right? And then just the sheer number of runs. Like I was expecting that, okay, you know what, I'm gonna be at a busy station, so we're gonna get a few runs, but I wasn't expecting to be getting slammed with runs, and it was a pleasant surprise for me. Like, okay, yeah, that's good to get the training in and get my body back to being used to getting those calls in the middle of the night and just having to get up and go. And the sheer volume of runs here is it's crazy. It's just like something I never imagined. Like in the CNMI, we have maybe I'd say a third of the runs. 55,000 in the CNMI.
I think it's 60.
Almost more than
3 times.
Yeah. So, but not to say that the runs in the CNMI are not as important as the ones here. It's how you take the call. It's what the caller needs, right? Or what kind of emergency assistance that they're looking for. But it's just the number of calls here is just far outweighs the number that I was so used to in the CNMI.
I'm sure if you work in the southern stations, it wouldn't be as busy, right?
Same thing. Population does make a difference.
Right,
more people, more calls.
So the northern command obviously has more densely populated areas.
How many stations are up there? Like
in
total?
The northern command or for the whole island?
I guess northern command.
There's 6.
Is it?
6 up north, 6 down south.
There's a quiz just in case anyone's listening.
So, but we do. I mean, yes, the northern
research that real quick.
Check the handbook.
Yeah, I believe there's 6 north, 6 south.
You could be right. I wouldn't doubt. But so I'm at one of the I guess you could say busier stations, and although I've enjoyed my time on the truck, I really am enjoying a lot of the time on the medic. Yes. Like I said, that was kind of just like my thing. I just naturally gravitated towards that. I really came into academy thinking, oh man, I get to be a medic again. I forgot that you have to be a firefighter and work on a fire truck and carry all this heavy stuff and put on the mask. I forgot about that. Like, I was so excited. I get to be on an ambulance again. I get to do that. And then they said, well, you got hired as a fire recruit. You're going to be a firefighter.
Right.
First job.
So that's you need to be able to do that. And I was like, really? I got to put on that gear? That's heavy. So
all those things weigh more than me.
drag the mannequin. Why?
So it's a lot of medic responses.
Yeah, on the medic.
They said it's about 80% of all runs, so maybe like 20.
Wow. Yeah.
20 would be
That's a lot.
Fire.
Yeah, there's a lot of medic responses, but it's brought us up to speed.
No
real
cats
quick.
in trees, anything like that.
That would be
Not that
that's
I've
all
heard of.
in the 20%. Cats in trees, fires.
Bicycle in the ditch.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been cool. I think the academy too. The academy, the process, the training that we had gone through, the environment that they put us in. Although it was very stressful, and like Terrence said, it was like a military mentality, a paramilitary organization, right? So we did get yelled at. We did get pushed to our limits. There were days that I went home and I was crying, and I was like, I'm not coming back tomorrow. Hell no, And it was
why I
really,
put myself through this.
it was really designed to break you down. And then what's that? Versus what I went through previously in the cinema. You got to remember, I was like 10 years ago. I was 20 years old when I did that. I was a little bit more physically fit, So, and I didn't have kids. I only had one child back then, and so I think my body was a little bit more adapt to doing that kind of physical activity. But I think this time around, there was really a lot of structure. There was an idea of what they wanted to do and how they wanted to give us this information, and they really did a great job. Like I've had experiences with different academies, not just going through it, but with helping to organize it, and they were very impressive. There was a lot of structure. There was a lot of training. They thought everything out. There wasn't a day that we had wasted time. It was always something to do, something to learn, or something to study. Yeah. So that was they made a really good use of those 6 months.
Did you find yourself like in physical turmoil where you just wanted to quit?
No, just
Straight up, no.
No, I didn't. I wanted to. That was a challenge for me. Like,
wow, that was just me and Terrence.
Way to leave Jocelyn in the
sorry, sis, but
crying all the time.
Dude, it was a goal for me to complete it.
I see.
Yeah, so whatever. At the end of the day, when I went home, man, I didn't have time for nothing, nobody. Yeah. Even my other half was like, Dad, can you pay me some attention? I'm like, wait, I'm reading.
Yeah, I mean.
I have to read this by tomorrow.
When you're trying to achieve something, I lucked out when I was studying for my exam. My girlfriend was also studying for an exam. Mm-hmm. And so it was easier for us to sort of get into the groove together. But it's more like convincing each other. Like, oh, do we have to study today? Like, but now when you have stuff going on around you that's out of your control, and they're not doing exactly the same thing as you. That shit
it's
difficult.
I think that was like part of the reason why we bonded so well, because we were going through this similar struggle, and it was hard to have, it's hard to go outside of the academy, and I can't go, say, oh, honey, I get screamed at all day. I'm really stressed. You need to figure out what to do with all the kids. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Early on in the academy, they
5 more months. All I'm asking is 5 more months.
Oh my God, we all had those conversations.
Everyone,
just tough it out. Just tough it out.
You don't know what I'm going through.
5.5 more months. You've only been in it 15 days.
No, and then our graduation date kept changing, so we were like, 7 more months, 4.5 more months. Okay, back to 6 months. Like, crazy. I think for a while there, we didn't even want to believe that our graduation date was set.
Whatever, we're gonna graduate next year.
Yeah.
But so like a day early on in the academy, they put aside one day, and they had us bring in all our families, and they're like, so this one day was just like a huge, okay, just so you know, this person who is your other half is about to be really, really, really busy and really stressed out. So let's have lunch, and we'll talk to you guys individually and let you guys know how busy they're about to be. And
I knew it was a trick. He gave us all that food, and then they took us out and made us after. Us.
Let's fill them up, make them tired.
As soon as their families leave, we'll make them do push-ups. Which was literally what happened.
Scream at them
On hot
louder.
pavement.
Yeah, there were days that I would come home and my hands had blisters from the pavement, from the heat on the pavement.
Too
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah,
Too easy.
No, it wasn't. Not at the time. And the runs, academy runs were crazy. I hate running. I do. After the academy, I hate running even more.
Gotta learn to love it.
Well, that's what you kind of want to do, right? You want to break someone down
Yeah.
to their core
See if
and
they can
build
still
them back up.
See if they can still function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that I appreciated Kadri for
Yeah.
doing all that PT with
Yeah.
us. He didn't need to, and he really did. He
You didn't need to.
no, well, you know,
I'm just
you
gonna
just-
state it right now.
He
It
could have
wasn't
done
necessary.
He didn't need to. No, actually, 'cause we had our cadres. They were great, but we had one cadre. He was a very physical guy, and he could run forever, or it felt like forever. But
Yeah.
and what I really appreciated and what I was like really impressed by was the fact that he would never PT us if he wasn't going to join us, and he would do everything.
That's a
we
real
did.
leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Right.
is a very,
Leonidas type, like being
Right.
in front.
Right.
and he ran every mile that everybody else ran, and he you know, he did the
And he's still
push-ups.
stretching out, and he's wearing heavy ass boots, right?
No, and you know the thing was- yeah, that was it. He just kept wanting to go, and we were all like dying, having shortness of breath, and we were like contemplating all the decisions we made to that moment,
Trying not to pass out.
Right.
trying not to
And
pass out. And he-
maybe because he understands the possible conditions you can go in. I mean, in the end, you're dealing with fire,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
True.
You're gonna be in the fucking hottest
Yeah.
conditions known to man.
and that's
Yeah,
why he
right,
liked to
Josh?
run at 1 or 3 in the
3
afternoon.
in the
He'd just
afternoon.
wait until it was super hot.
Like,
And
all right,
we knew like
2 minutes.
yeah. And the 2 minutes was a
Oh.
changeover. Like you had to change into your PT from whatever you were wearing into your PT in 2 minutes.
You stop wearing belts, huh?
Damn it.
Wear your white socks inside your black
Yeah.
socks.
That's how we wore our white socks, and then we put our black socks over it, and it was
Some
like
of
all
them
these
put
little-
their PT pants on and then use their 511s over it.
yeah. It
As
was
soon as Kadri says 2 minutes, the whole room just gets like
like a
super
tornado.
volatile. Everyone's just like throwing clothes everywhere. And
It's like
Yeah.
Bruce Almighty, right? Where he goes, and all his clothes come off.
And man, you know, it was hilarious because towards the end, we were under so much stress and pressure, and we were doing physical stuff every day. So when we saw him change into his PT uniform,
Everybody
everybody just be like,
we
crap.
would start like untying our boots,
Loosening,
and, like,
yep.
getting,
Loosening.
Like, and he
putting
was,
us in a position to get.
He'll
And it
try to
was-
trick you guys, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was so funny because he'll change into the PT uniform,
He does.
and then he'll walk
He'll walk and
across.
then he'll just
like
notice.
he'll just walk across the doorway, and then everybody notices him, and our battalion chief's talking to us, and everybody just like, oh God, he's in his PT uniform. Like everybody's untying their shoes.
No one's paying
Yeah.
attention.
trying to
the
like
chief.
loosen their
Yeah,
belt.
like,
What are you touching your bag for?
you got you guys fucked up. It could probably literally just be his shadow in the sun and his shorts blowing in the shadow.
It was like
Those are shorts, aren't they? Huh?
that. As soon as we saw him in his PT uniform, it elevated everybody's blood pressure and everybody's heart rate. We're all like, oh gosh, get
We're
ready.
putting away
Get ready
books and
for it.
like getting ready for.
And
the
it was
2
funny
minutes.
because the battalion chief who outranks him, right, would be speaking to us, and we would just be like, no, we're
Just
getting
lose
ready.
focus.
We're getting ready to go. Like nobody's listening to battalion chief anymore, and then he'd just have to be like, hey guys, I'm right here. You know, sorry sir, we're kind of we're getting ready for PT.
Then our cadre in his shorts would just walk by and smirk at everybody like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But does it sort of make sense now?
Yeah.
It did. You know, he was when I first joined, or when we first started, I was not doing anything physical. I just had a baby. It wasn't like I wasn't in the prime of my life.
I mean,
Let
you
me-
brought
yeah.
donuts to
I
people
brought, yeah,
first
like how
to
dare
the
you?
first test.
You want me to run? I brought donuts. You guys didn't see me. I was the girl with the donuts. Like, you know, but
Spent some time in the office, yeah.
so he takes us on that run. He takes us on our first run, and I almost died doing the mile run. I was like, oh my God. You know, why would we need to run this far at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? But he goes
was
on that
horrible.
run, you know. Here I have shortness of breath. I'm about to throw up. There's all these things. Like I felt like I needed to be in the ER, and he there was a point where he would run us every single day,
Yeah.
And it was always like we were running like a 5K every single day. If not, we were hitting like 4 miles, 6 miles, something like that. And in the interview, I don't know if they asked you guys this. They said, "Oh, you do know, right? You're gonna be running 4 to 8 miles a day." And my response was like, "All at once, or you guys breaking? We're doing that
half a mile here,
one shot, or we,
1 mile an hour.
how you breaking that down?
walking pace."
But so he gets us to the point where we're running every day, and my run really did improve. I cut minutes off of my mile time, right? It really did. It worked. And I remember one particular run, I was dying and I was just like having a hard time. He ran us for miles, and then at the end of the run, he's trying to get us to do sprints from the bottom of a hill and so like the top of a hill, and he's at the top of the hill and he's like, "Hurry up, Sablan!" And I'm just like, I'm like crying and all of that. And I run past him and he goes, "You know what, Sablan? I promise you I will get you there. I promise you, just trust me." And he wasn't wrong. We did another agility test towards the end of academy, and that man cut almost 4 minutes off of my mile.
Yeah.
I was still dying though, but he cut like 4 minutes off my mile. So obviously it worked, but I really did always appreciate the fact that
He did a great
he
job.
would never have us PT without him.
Right.
Yeah. If he wasn't going to do it, then we weren't going to do it. But he could out PT any of us.
For sure.
That's true.
For sure. Like we were all spent. And he's going for round 2. Like we'll PT. Remember we did like our physical fitness test in the morning?
Yeah.
We'll PT in the morning, and then when we secure, like
Then he'll go
and then he'll go on another run. Like, man, this guy's not enough.
No.
Yep.
Well, you guys have to know that you've opened up many doors now, right? I mean, yeah, you guys aren't the first in ever, but you're the first in a long time.
In a long time, yeah.
Right. So now when younger girls like see you at these events that you guys go to, these community outreach programs, now you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I can be a firefighter."
Yeah.
Right.
I really hope so. I hope so. I mean, I always say like I wasn't in the prime of my life. I was out of shape. I just had a baby, but like there was just a lot of heart, and that's what got me through a lot of the hard times. It was just having that heart after my body felt like giving up.
Well, callings are never easy, right?
Yeah.
You literally have to go through the shits to realize why you're doing it. Because if it was easy, and then you'll just be like, you take it for granted, right?
That's true.
But now, listen to you guys. Just earlier, Terrence said it's become a responsibility. Like you realize outright that you have to make it part of your life. There's some sort of attachment. We were talking about emotionally detaching yourself in some sense, but in some sense, you'll always still be emotionally attached to whatever's going on, and just because of
more control of your emotions, I guess is how. Yeah.
But it makes you a stronger person in the end.
It does. I think there's like in my experience, there's like a fireman humor. Firemen, and I think even yourself, like you said, right? You grew up in a morgue or with a lot of exposure to death, and it's a darker humor, but it's kind of our way to offset. It's not in a disrespectful way, but it's in a way where something that somebody who's never been exposed to it comes and sees something as violence.
It's like a person who laughs during a scary movie to like get over that sort of distress or emotional trauma, right?
Yeah, I think it's our mechanism to deal or to cope with a lot of the stuff that we're going to be exposed to or we've been exposed to. So I think I call it fireman humor. You get back to the station and you've seen something particularly disturbing.
Well, it's something that only maybe particularly in a brotherhood or a sisterhood that can only understand, right?
Yes.
And I think that was like our proving grounds were in the academy to show that we would be able to deal with those type of things.
Can you handle
and
this?
Continue to function, because like they always said, your most important run is your next one. Because you should be able to compose yourself enough to handle the one that you're on. So you're always prepping for that unknown next run, and that's going to be the most important thing. That's what you have downtime. That's what you
because it can literally be big or small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And anybody
never
that
know.
calls 911, it's going to be a big deal for them. It doesn't matter why they call.
Right.
It's a big deal for them. It doesn't what their emergency is that's what it's going. That's the biggest thing in their life at that moment. And who do they call? They call GFD or they call GPD. So, that's a big, like Terrence said, responsibility that's put upon.
And I don't know if it's happened to you guys already, but I'll be leaving the hospital and still thinking about like, whoa, I can't believe I just had that. And then boom, we get rerouted to another run.
Yeah.
And you got to move.
Snap.
Your mindset has to.
Boom. Next run. Let's go.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
I think, but I've seen I think after coming into the shift and getting out of the academy setting, to my surprise, I thought the guys would be more hesitant to have females.
Females, yeah.
Right. I always thought, man, I wonder if these guys are gonna want to work with females. It's been men for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. No females in the stations and
At
stuff
least
like
in the
that.
field, right?
Yeah, and
It's an adjustment for them as well, but
we were kind of welcome with open arms.
Yeah.
Everybody's always giving us words of encouragement, and they're telling us that, hey, if you need anything or you need any kind of help or you need any kind of guidance,
Let us
we're
know.
here for
Yeah.
you. And it was nice and it was refreshing to know that the idea of women coming into the fire department was actually pretty welcome.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, can you check what the national average for female firefighters, right?
I think it should be like somewhere about 20%. I know that like New York actually graduated like 19 female firefighters recently.
Okay.
Like there's been a big push. I think the first female firefighter was actually she was a firefighter for the New York Fire Department, but I believe she wasn't actually it was a fire brigade, and I believe she was actually a slave, the first female firefighter in the United States. And she was gosh, I don't even want to use that term, but she worked for the New York Fire Brigade at the time, because she was employed by the captain, and that's what she was doing. She would help do bucket brigades and stuff like that. So that's the history I know about.
Wait, what word did you not want to use?
The slave word.
Oh.
It's just not a comfortable word for me,
Yeah,
but
okay.
that was how it was defined or how it was written in the history of female firefighters.
Like, so she was a former slave? Like, was
No,
this
she
around
wasn't
like
she was
Civil War time, or?
She was an active slave at the time. She was, I'm going to use air quotes on this, owned by the captain that was running the station.
okay.
She was part of the bucket brigade. Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, I know her name. I believe her name was Molly
Williams.
Molly Williams. There.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to read us through it?
First woman firefighter we know of was Molly Williams, who was a slave in New York City and became a member of Oceanus Engine Company Number 11 in about 1815.
Yeah.
Damn. You weren't far off.
Yeah.
1815, so definitely before the Civil War.
Yes.
Yeah. And so New York's actually been they've set a standard for a lot of, even before 9/11 and after so.
Because it's not so common, right? I mean, for you to hear a female firefighter.
In recent years, like I'd say maybe the 70s up to present, you've seen more female firefighters. Now there are departments or city departments or private brigades that don't employ female firefighters.
Yeah, excuse my ignorance. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So,
yeah.
but there's definitely way more than there used to be. I would say that.
Did you see something about any national averages or anything like that?
Yeah, it's showing 3.1.
3.
Oh, sorry, way off on that one.
3.1%.
That
Yeah.
could be the entire
The
country?
entire country, or the population of firefighters in the country.
But
that sounds right, like a little right, like maybe
Oddly-
like every
3.1.
100 firefighters, three or four of them would be women, girls.
so I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's
3.1.
How many firefighters total?
there's thousands, I guess. I would say.
Yeah, it's got to be thousands. I mean, the way
But
they
there's
fight
different-
fires
there's
out
different
there.
types.
Yeah.
There's different types of firefighters. So
You got the career,
California-
and then you got the volunteers.
And California firefighters, they go through
Those are
shit
the wild-
every freaking
yeah, those are the wildland
year.
firefighters. So those are the ones that are specifically, like, we're trained to do structural firefighting.
Okay.
So There's maritime firefighters that respond to fires like on ships and stuff, and then there's the wildland firefighters that go out and do the hotshot stuff like in California.
Yeah.
Do all of the
so they're not trying to like burn down. They're not trying to stop the actual fire. They're trying to contain the fire, right?
Yeah, and that's like I believe the most dangerous type because they don't have water. They're not fighting with any kind of suppressive materials. They go out there with they go out there with like shovels and picks. And
so they'll like dig trenches and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they do, and there's and they're kind of out there in the middle of nowhere.
Did I watch a movie? What movie did I watch? Sorry,
there is a movie.
There is a movie where they stopped fire by digging a trench.
A fire break, yeah.
Yeah.
So like a big gap between where the fire could go and where the fire is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is. I know there's.
Sorry, Matt. It sucks you don't have a microphone. Matt usually has a microphone, so we can like hear what he says. No, it's okay. Maybe I just need to get a bigger board.
But yeah, it hasn't been very many female firefighters. I think that GFD picking up 2 female fire recruits at the time, I think that was a big deal for them as well, and it was kind of like a trial for them too, because to have 2 females go through the academy, there's a lot of considerations you needed to make.
Like
the 2-minute drills we couldn't change in the same room as the men. Wow. They really had to push.
Like us in
be
a
back
closet at first.
Yeah, they had to really.
They have to give you a head start.
Yeah, they had to really push about being appropriate because you have sisters.
Yeah.
The language that you use in the
Right.
And then it was kind of natural for people when you see 42 males, they're fire recruits, or you see 42 people, they're fire recruits. You pick out a female, and it's like.
Yeah.
Like you
like,
see
hey, that one
there's
has
a
hair.
girl in there. And
That one has hair.
Yeah, because we're all bald.
So
All the guys are bald. So.
I think it was a trial for them too to kind of accommodate that. But they did a great job.
Yes,
they did a great job. They made sure that there was a lot of understanding, and whatever our needs or my needs were we didn't have to go through if we felt like there was.
You guys were all bunking with each other, no, right?
No.
It was just like being around each other all the time.
It was just like it was just about being around each other, but. By no means was the physical activity changed for the females. It was just required. The boys are going to do that? Well, you're going to do that too. But they did make accommodations for us in the sense that, okay, so, there are females. You guys need to watch your language. You need to be appropriate, and you can't do anything that would be perceived as offensive. And that was a good thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that how many firefighters there are in the U.S.?
Well, that's what I got the first answer on.
Go ahead and what is it?
Let's say as of 2018, 3.1% of the
That might be accurate, actually.
firefighters are women.
103.
Go ahead. Keep on.
New York City Fire Department had 58 women representing less than 0.5% of 10,000.
I see.
We do need more females though.
How many firefighters here on Guam though?
About 200.
Yeah, about 2.
Well, let's see, the percentage is still about the same, right?
Yeah.
It's what? 2%, right?
1%.
1%? 1%, 3%.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're
Could
not
be
good at
wrong.
math here.
I'm supposed to be.
I used to tell my kid I can only times by 4 because that's how long it takes to take vitals. Tell your teacher I said that. I didn't know her teacher was Terrence. So. Now you know what I'm talking about. No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah, so the percentage is just about
still,
right,
yeah.
right? I mean, it's not too low because even out of 10,000 firefighters in New York City, 500 of them are women, right?
yeah, so it's something that I hope changes over time. I don't think that it's a common goal for most women to become firefighters, and I hope that if at least one person sees that, hey, look at those girls, they were able to do it and they were able to get it done and they just stuck it out. And I'm saying a lot of it really was just heart, and your ability to push and take that pressure. And everything else was came with it, like the physical fitness and stuff. There was more.
Reading
There
books.
wasn't any time where we were degraded during academy. It was always like, push yourself, keep trying.
Yeah.
You did a good job. There wasn't any time where we were getting yelled at and getting told like, you don't deserve to be here. You're not cut out.
What is a girl doing here?
Yeah, we didn't get none of that at all.
We didn't get that.
That was the most dramatic thing I can possibly think of. I was like,
So it was like I hope that other women, at least if they have an interest in it, try and come out and apply.
Yes.
And who knows, they might find something they completely love, and I there's nothing I can say. There's not enough good things that I could say about the experience itself. Now that it's over, because if you had asked me in the middle of it, I was, to get a different answer. But
Her answer would be crying. That's the response you're gonna get.
I know.
Tears.
No, it was hard.
what was sort of your middle of experience? I mean, Arlene seems like she was headstrong, nothing can break her.
I was.
Ours is
I mean,
badass.
I can remember in the jog, so I'm so far behind. I'm jogging and I'm thinking why can't I get the damn crease in my shirt? I'm gonna try again tonight, but
You need
And
more
I'm
steam.
behind him.
You
I'm
need
behind
more
him.
steam.
all my creases would be crooked. I wouldn't have it.
Double
I would have
creases.
2-lane creases and.
Can you?
Did you ever? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
They would always have funny remarks was it
What route is that?
What road? Yeah, because we have 2 creases, so it looks like 2 roads. And then
Can
part
you
of
tell
our-
me all the tri-intersections on Guam?
part of our job is to know.
There's
places
one on
around.
your shirt.
So they would tell us, "You got too many creases, a lot of roads."
One on your shirt.
It was hilarious because when we would go out, we would do
Is this
inspection.
route 1 and 4 on your shirt here?
We would do inspection, and we thought okay, yeah, we're gonna pass inspection today. Man, were we wrong? They'd be like, you see that thread? We're like, no, that tiny thread right there. You don't see that? Hold on to that for the rest of
the magnifying glass.
They-
There,
they
look
caught
at it,
everything.
right there.
Dude,
Yeah.
they'll catch anything, man.
They'll catch anything, and then I was like, man.
Diego,
but-
are those new pants?
Yeah, there was, and I would stand behind him during morning formation sometimes. I would be right behind him. And you could kind of get the gist of how it was going to go because you could tell how many people dropped on the row before you. And then towards the end, they were just like, everybody, half left face. And then they said, if you didn't get gigged, if you passed inspection, you dropped.
You're like,
I'm
what?
like, crap. Like,
That's new.
That's new.
what the heck? I polished these boots all night.
Even when we were getting gigged for our hair,
Yeah.
one of the guys was like, hey, I'll give you $100 if you cut all your hair off. I'm like, what? What?
But the struggle was real during academy. That was almost a thing. $100 real?
Man.
But,
I mean, I can't imagine running at 3:00 in the afternoon, right? I mean, with
he
a head full
loved
of
that.
hair.
yeah, it was.
It's
And
hard to breathe, man.
did you
It's
ever
just the heat.
get tempted to?
No. I mean, dang, it took me a while to grow my hair back. 'cause
I lost a lot of hair in academy. I could say that. Like I was just falling out in chunks for a while.
Today I got good volume.
I think this is the stress. No, the funny thing was there was this one day in academy where I got permission to go and renew my driver's license. So, they told me just don't go in your uniform. Who wants to take a driver's license in a recruit uniform? Driver's license photo. So I go to DMV and I tried to get my driver's license, but I was like, I'm not gonna look like a boy. I'm gonna draw my eyebrows. So I put on full-on makeup, change in my car. I get down, I get my driver's license. They give me the they take my picture. They give me my driver's license. I come back. They ask to see my license. I still got makeup on. I didn't. I've got lipstick, eyeliner, all this stuff. It was always me, man. It was always
what's wrong with your face? What's wrong with your face, Sablan?
what's that on your face? And then the one day that I did show up, I went to go get my eyebrows waxed, and then they peeled off my
Oh,
skin.
man.
I looked like I got beat up. My cadre was like, "You don't have anything you could put on your face, like makeup, or can't cover that up." I'm like, "Oh my god, I must look really bad if they're gonna tell me I should draw." It was so bad. Everybody's like, "Joss, what happened to you?"
It's good because our brothers are protective of us. Very.
It was great having that whole family system.
Yeah.
with
So
them.
so now you guys are about a month in? couple months?
About a month
Month in,
into
right.
shift work, and we're still kind of doing our training, you know.
Still wet behind the ears.
Yeah, still wet behind the ears. I mean,
A
but
lot
we've
to
been
learn.
working.
Still a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
still
what do you
trying-
look
so
forward
much.
to at least?
Man, honestly, every day I just look forward to going to work. I love it.
Well,
Yeah.
I really do. I love going to work. Work is like you don't even feel like it's gonna be 24 hours. You feel like you get there, you're so excited, you want to do something. There's always
There's always something to do.
something happening. It's such a great feeling to go to work and completely love that job, you know. And my shift has been so great. Like, one of the first things I did was I came in and I told them what I thought my weaknesses were, and we work on that. And, you know, we PT to try and fix my weaknesses, you know. Because it's a very strenuous job, you know. I don't want to be the one that's weak on the scene of a structure fire,
right.
Yeah.
right? So, and besides, a lot of these firefighters, they're very in tune with what it is that they need to do. They're like, they've got it down packed. Like, it's just natural to them.
Like the more
Yeah.
experienced ones.
Yeah, and it's just like, wow, you know, you see them and they're just so
Come on, Rook.
smooth.
Let me show you something.
Yeah, and they're so smooth in the way that they do it. I'm so impressed. Like, wow, you know, it's like that didn't even take any. Like, if I was gonna do that, there's so
No
many
effort,
things.
yeah.
There's stuff falling out of the ambulance. There's stuff falling. I'm forgetting. Like, you know, this is me. Like, I get into the ambulance after we leave the hospital. I'm like, oh, where's the radio? Or leave the station. Did you get the tough book? Like, my partners, I'm driving them nuts, but they're so natural to it. It's like they've built their own.
Even like hose lays and like the photo, like, it's like this, like that, like that. You ready?
Yeah.
Ready to try it?
Like this.
No.
Can I
Can I
see
see
you
it
do
again?
it?
Can I see it one more time? Okay.
So you put the
like
hose-
this, like this,
Yeah.
like that.
You know, like, they're like, do you know what this is? Not really.
Okay, now you show me. So the nozzle goes first, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me. Yes, the nozzle goes first.
So Academy never really ended.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I think the feeling of having to do the yes sir, yes ma'am, and that kind of,
Like
you know,
the school setting.
yes,
the school setting, that ended, but the learning never stops, and it's like a great tool to be able to just go to your coworkers, and even when we have our downtime, and say, hey, you know, like, can we go out to the truck real quick, and can you show me how to do this? And
the department is very trusting in all its stations to, because actually, if you think about it now, we get even more. I don't want to say intimate, but like more like training that's
yeah.
Where you
focused.
can have, yeah.
We're like 1 to 3 new guys instead of one guy to 42
40,
new
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
So the training is a lot. They really wanted us to get out to the station so that we can get that quality training every day. Literally, when we're not on a run, you're training.
Yeah.
On the job.
Yeah.
And you know, these crews, like, they've been together for such a long time that some of them, they work so fluidly together. So they get out of a fire truck and they don't even have to talk about what's going to happen and who does what. They just
yeah.
do it. And, you know, our job is to try and fit into that. Like, okay, so now I'm on the fire truck with you. What do I do to make this, you know, run a little bit better and not make it worse, you know?
Yeah.
Because even though I was previously, you know, classified as a firefighter, like I said, I've always been on the EMS side. I wasn't always on the truck, you know, and you really had to say, okay, that's a hose. You pull it, girl. You pull it towards the
Is
fire.
it like the movies where they hang off the back and they're like
You would think, right? Like, oh,
fucking cruising on the back of the fire.
where's the what's that, the fire pole that you get to, you know, like jump
Yeah,
off
it's
and then
not-
come
right.
down and
Who
you
the
have
fuck's
all
a fire
your gear.
You don't have one of those? Dang.
Like, oh, did we
I
not
don't
get one
think I
installed?
don't think any station on Guam has a fire pole.
No, they're not allowed to be used anymore.
Knee problems and
Knee
ankle
problems,
problems.
background. You're not allowed to stand in the back of a fire truck.
You can't injure yourself before you go to a
Right.
run where you could possibly
now
injure
it's a
yourself.
slide, right?
Yeah. So, and then, you know, like it was just like amazing. And, you know, I've always thought fire trucks were so beautiful. And then, like, I see the fire trucks that are at the stations. I'm like, wow, those are amazing trucks. You get in, there's so much equipment, but I don't know what the heck the equipment is. They're like,
What do you use this for?
Do you know what this is for? Not really.
What is it called again, sir?
Yeah, and that's what they're teaching us at the station is how to work with them fluidly, because they've got their own thing going and they've got it, they've got it down pat. So it's like some days they're like, do you know how to pull this fire hose? And I'm like, you grab that end, right? Like, yeah, where do you run? Towards the fire. Like,
towards the fire.
And that's not always the answer. Sometimes the answer is kind of like, no, not directly towards it, girl. You don't go right towards it. You kind of go off a little bit.
Yeah. How do you manage now that firefighting has become a part of your life? How do you manage everything outside of it? Right.
Well, you have time. You have time for everything else outside. It's not as bad as when you were in the academy.
I mean, but you have family, right?
I have 5 kids.
So
it
sort of has to come from an understanding from them too, that you'll be gone.
I think during the academy, the people that sacrificed the most were my children.
Right.
Because I wasn't able to, even on weekends, my Sundays were prepping your uniforms. Everybody, Saturdays were like trying to catch up on sleep. And
do you have a family also?
My other half, we have 5 kids, but all the kids are grown. So
okay.
It's just me. Yeah.
Okay.
So but now that we've, how many kids do you have?
I don't have kids, but
he is the kid.
Want to be godfather? No. Fireman godfather nowadays.
Right.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
I mean, it's crazy because we did make a lot of sacrifices. Our families did really not have us around very much for those 6 months, and even if we were around, we were kind of like useless
or tired.
It was a lot of that. I just need you to
sunburnt, all like dark sunburnt.
Like, do you not see I'm studying? Stop talking, please.
I think that
just for 5 minutes.
Our families went through that with us, and then now that we're working on shift, we get to come home, and then we have a little bit more. Our cadres, one thing that really impressed me about our cadres, and
I mean, they're learning. They were learning through that experience.
Yes, they were.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And one thing that we were always told in the academy was like, hey, when you're off, spend time with your family. That's your time with your family, and we was always pushed like GFD is a family, and when you get off of work, you still have your family at home, and you need to pay attention to them and meet those responsibilities. And that was always kind of embedded in us.
Yeah. Very family oriented.
Yeah. So my kids like it though. They like that I get to pick them up from school now when I'm off. I'm tired, but I'll pick them up. I got so many. I got my 2-year-old. She loves it. Like she doesn't fully understand the 24-hour shift. So she knows when I put on the blue uniform, she's like, oh, no, don't go to work. And then when I come home the next day, she's like, you didn't come home last night. I'm like, but she'll break into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I mean, there has to be a level of, like I said, balance and understanding of all parties involved with what's going on, especially when you're trying to achieve something, right?
Yeah, it's a sacrifice for our families. I've always thought, like personally, that being a firefighter was more of a selfish decision, because typhoons and natural disasters or any kind of man-made disaster or any kind of emergency, we're leaving our families to go into work. And I'm leaving my children. I miss birthdays, and we'll miss anniversaries and holidays and all those things that your family normally expects you to be there for. You're going to miss that, because the oath that you take to swear yourself to the people of Guam outweighs all those private things that are going on in your life. And I've seen it because like with Menkut, and with you two, I know it didn't hit us directly, but we were still, working during that time. They had a recall for the firefighters. We were still in academy. So they were leaving their families while other people were getting sent home. They were leaving their wives to attend with their children, and there was no power, there's no water, and that's because that oath that their husbands took, or those oaths that we took when we graduated, outweigh anything else that's going on in our lives. I mean, it could be my kid's birthday, but if they call, then I have to, I made that promise. And a promise wasn't for myself, it was towards the people of Guam. So that's why I always thought being a firefighter was a selfish profession, personally for me, because I didn't have to sacrifice, but my kids, my family, my husband, my parents, they sacrificed the most because I'm gone, And that was
responsibility.
yeah, that's part of
That's
the
it.
responsibility.
Responsibility. You have a responsibility now to this island. So, yes, you have a personal life. I'm sure you have a wonderful family, but
You're gonna miss a lot, and
You gotta
that's what
come
we
in.
were told. We were gonna miss those things.
That's my phone. It's connected to my computer. I need to not do that. You can just decline that, Matt. I don't even know who that is. Before I rudely interrupted the moment there.
no.
Yeah, I mean it's
What were we
it's
talking
real,
about?
right? No, I mean, just the sacrifice that everybody around you takes,
Yeah.
because you chose to make this decision.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was something that, you know, I think is a struggle all the time, but we make the best of it. I hope to always make the best of it. You know, we've just started our careers at GFD, but there's people there 20 years, 30 years that have been making those sacrifices, and in honor of them and, you know, their sacrifices over the last so many years. Like, look at Terrence's dad. You know, he's missed, I bet, a lot of events throughout life. And
Do you recall?
Yes, even the arguments that my parents had. Yeah. So it's like, are you gonna miss New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving? Which holidays do we get this year?
Right.
Which holidays don't we get this year? And so
And that's something you already understand off the bat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have a family.
and
yet.
my parents too, they improved throughout time. So the arguments stopped getting, it wasn't as bad, and then they would communicate. And if my dad works on Christmas, we celebrate Christmas Eve. Same with Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things, like, that signifies your dedication when you raise your right hand and you take that oath. Like, okay, I promise the people of Guam that I will always be available for them, and I will always make them win when they need it, And I think that was the heaviest thing, because when I took that oath in the CNMI, it was the same thing. It was funny though, because when I graduated in the CNMI, I didn't know that firefighters work 24-hour shifts. I thought the fire station is closed. So I show up to my first day of work, and the fire chief was like, "Where's all your stuff?" And I said, "What stuff?" And they're like, "You're sleeping
I'm
here." I'm
only
like,
here till 5, right?
"Sleeping here?
My
Why would I
house is
need
on fire?
like, oh,
Check us tomorrow at 8.
Where's
guys-
the next guy?
what time what time do we get off, guys? It never occurred to me the fire station never closes, and so that was a big shock to me. And that was after I took my oath the first time. In the Sweden Mile, I was like, wow, not one time in that whole
Throughout the academy.
did anybody ever say we work 24-hour shift. I thought emergencies only happened between 8 to 5. I was so new to
They
that.
didn't want you guys to quit right there.
Like,
What, 24?
like, people get sick after 5? Why? Such a horrible time to get sick. You're home.
Right.
So it took a lot of time for me the first time around to kind of like, you mean I can't go home for Easter? Or
Yeah.
wait, what do you mean I'm working my daughter's birthday? That's my daughter's birthday. Don't you guys know that's my daughter's birthday? And and then over the years it kind of sank in, like, hey, that was the life I chose, and unfortunately,
Some things you're just going to have to miss.
yeah, some things you're gonna have to miss, but the oath was worth it. And I always tell, like, my friends, especially like in the cinema, that's probably why your badge goes over your heart,
Yeah.
because
E.
keep it close to
Right.
that promise. Yeah.
That's it, Brett.
Come on.
E, Brett.
So, but that was one of the things, and I'm very lucky because my family's been very, very supportive of
Yes,
it.
thank goodness for supportive family.
Yeah. It sucks though, because me and R can't be on the same shift.
I
Like,
know.
we're not on the same shift, and we would drive our captain crazy if we were on the same shift.
Are you guys in the same unit?
Yes.
We are.
Station.
We're on the same station. We're at
Just
the same station.
Opposite shift. So I'll
But-
see her when she comes in.
Yeah, we'll relieve each other, so we don't get to like chill out like before and stuff.
Yeah.
3 and 1. 1 and 3.
Because he's in a good station. He's at one of the busiest stations. I heard him-
Station everybody fought for.
I heard him on the
4.
radio this morning, and I like his voice. He was like, 4. And I was like, oh,
No,
God, he sounds
I'm just
so
trying not to.
tired.
No, I wasn't tired. I was just trying not to sound so
Yeah,
guyish, but I am a new guy, so.
Yeah.
I had a funny moment too. So I answered the station phone, and you answer the station phone. Half a day. This is
firefighter. Yeah.
But I was at the station, so when I answered the phone, I go, fire dispatch medic, Huffington Fire Station. So I like answered the phone like I was on the radio, and the person at the other end knew that I was confused and laughed pretty hard. She was like, "No, you're not on the radio. You're answering a phone."
The first time I ever answered the station radio, I got my own name wrong. Like
Nervous?
I couldn't
Nervous.
and my coworker's like, "Are you all right?"
Who am I again?
I got my own name wrong, and then the first time I signed onto the logbook, the tough book, I kept misspelling my name, and he was just like, "Girl, are you all right?" Like, sorry, nervous.
I don't know what I'm doing here right now.
It took us so long. It took me so long to fill out that first logbook entry. I mean, not the the tough book entry. I was trying to get it all perfect.
No.
Now I'm just
Damn, did I miss a tab?
No.
yeah,
It's
but it's
crazy.
been great. I don't know.
I mean, 1 month in, and it's already exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
man.
very
It's
exciting.
Been exciting.
No one run is the same.
Something you guys plan on doing till you retire?
Gosh,
Yes.
I
No
hope-
career change?
Not for me,
No.
but I
Career
really,
change,
I really
no
hope this
change, no
goes.
moves or nothing.
Mm.
I think this is it.
yeah. Well, so now we have to be friends for the next 30 years until you retire. Right?
We're gonna be proficient by then. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like, I don't know, maybe I'll still be a firefighter 1 by then.
Wait, so the next cycle would be in 5 years?
I don't know. I think
Hopefully soon.
I'm hoping that they have one soon.
They
I
need
really,
one. They need one now. They need one really
To
when
start,
they get money.
yeah.
Yeah. I hope that the next one though has a little bit more female presence. I really think that they did really well. They did right with that academy for
Yes.
MENR, and I
Shut
hope that
up.
there's more females.
I hope people listening to this podcast get to, get inspired by
Yeah.
the things that
It's
you guys
tough,
have
but
said. I mean,
You just gotta have heart.
Like,
You gotta want it.
Terrence
like I
is
said, nothing worth it is easy.
Yes, exactly.
But like Terrence is a legacy. I guess that was the nickname that was
That's what
given.
they
His
call
dad's a
him.
fireman, and he's a fireman now.
Yeah.
Your legacy.
Legacy.
But I really hope that one of my daughters, even my son, I hope one of my children become firefighters.
I'm trying to keep my niece interested in.
It's not, well, because of the things that you guys see, it's not something that you want to keep people that
there's
you love away.
I love the job so much. I love being on an ambulance so much, and that I want to encourage my children to find something they
Yes.
love as much as that. So I hope that at least one of them, I kind of keep having more kids until one becomes a fireman.
yeah.
But I hope that at least one of them finds that same rewarding experience and fulfillment that I find in it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I keep trying to trick my 2-year-old. Like,
You said you have a niece who's interested?
Yeah.
Or you're trying to keep her?
I'm trying to keep her interested. So like, and
Take her
give
to
my
fire
yeah,
station.
take her
Take her
to
to fire
station.
truck.
By the
Is
time
she
you're
just
battalion
in
chief.
awe the fact that you're a firefighter?
Yeah, she likes it. She'll tell people, my auntie's a firefighter, And then I would just put one of my fire hats on her, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm a firefighter too." I'm like, "That's right, baby. You're gonna be one. I'm gonna train you."
Like, I took my baby to the fire station. I was like, look, it's a fire truck. She's like, oh, yay, Mom, it's a fire truck. She's like, what's this? I'm like, that's a light. What's this? That's the door. Girl, I can't, it's a big truck.
I don't got time for this.
I can't tell you everything that's on it.
Wait till you're of age.
You got to go through academy.
So what is their age range, at least for the new recruits? And
I think our
what are
youngest was 20, and our
Okay.
oldest was 45.
Our youngest is
45.
Wardo.
Wardo.
Wardo Tenorio.
Oh, yeah.
He was
Have you met Wardo? Is he
Gerardo?
Yeah.
The Hulk.
He is. He's
He's a
stationed
big-
with my dad, so he's under my dad at
Okay.
Station 6.
Yeah, I saw him over at Lighthouse. Shout out, Mr. Kim. I love the fried number 6. When I go there, he knows number
The-
6.
Water. Right.
No tartar.
Yeah.
No, I saw him there, and I was like, oh yeah, and he was in his blues.
Yeah.
Right? So
That's a
Yeah.
big guy. Like,
Yeah.
Wardo's always like, but
hey, that's
he's a-
that's
that's
Matt.
Yeah.
That's
Is
classmate.
he?
Yeah.
Wardo's
yeah.
a cool dude. He's a cool dude, but that's a big man, and we're all
Baby
like,
Huey.
I'm like, how the heck is that guy 20? Like, he came out, and then he was just chowing like roast pig and stuff.
He was actually on this podcast back in 2015. Yeah,
that's
Really?
yeah. Very
Dang.
much long time ago. When we were hosting our 10-year reunion at our school, it's like
Oh.
the basketball tournament. these guys were the graduating class. So
Really?
Wow.
yeah.
Wardo's real cool. I like that guy. He's funny, very respectful too. Yeah.
Yes.
So you said 20 to
And
The
then our
oldest-
oldest guy is 45.
Pops.
wow.
Yeah, they
Call
called
him-
him Pops.
That's
He's
why I
older
never
than the
called him Pops.
cadres.
I never
And that
called
guy
him Pops.
stuck it out, man. He for his age, man, that guy was a beast, I could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. He if you did it by age, he easily was the most physically fit.
So you're saying that since they need to have another cycle soon, since that's the case, is it because there's just so much to respond to?
I think so much. That's part of it. I think the thing is there's a lot of, I believe, fire personnel that are up against retirement.
Yeah,
You know, and
I
that's
see.
their option to retire. And you know, they've put in their 25, 30, or however many years, and you know, they want to enjoy spending time with their family. They've missed a lot over the time. So, there are a lot of fire personnel, to my knowledge, that are looking at retirement soon. So, even though there's so many of us that came in, there's so many that are trying to exit out,
Yes.
you know, and it's like we're just cushioning that exodus and what happens to the next so many years,
Right.
you know. And I hope it doesn't go 5 years for another academy. I hope that they have one, you know, within the next year, maybe 2 at the most, because
What was the graduating class of the last cycle?
I think it was somewhere in the 30s. I'm not sure. I know we're the largest.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are the 45 of us, and 42 made it to the ceremony because the other 3 ended up going on a
Military.
deployment
Yeah. Military.
during the academy. So
Oh, I see.
42 of us were at the graduation ceremony, but there's 45 of us total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, how long have we been going for, bro?
An hour and 45.
Hour and 45. Let's call this.
Okay.
I had a great time. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
That was
And it was
nice.
cool. I hope you guys had a good time. And last words. Anything you want to put out there? Anyone to hear?
Just
The
for the
floor is
females,
yours,
just
yeah.
for the females that are listening and might have a interest in the fire department, try it out. You know, it's tough, but if you want it really bad, you can do it. We do need the females.
And we gotta outnumber these boys once, at
Yeah.
least once. Get more females in here than men.
Never know. One day it might be a full recruiting class of females, right?
And then they'll have 2 guys. And they'll be the ones on the podcast. Oh yeah, it was great.
How's it be the first 2 guys
In a cycle.
in a cycle? Yeah, they had to put us in our own changing room.
Man, those girls are tough.
That'd be funny.
Anything else you want to?
No, just thank you for having us.
Yeah, for sure.
Been a great
And
time.
people of Guam, it's December. Please drive safe.
Yes.
December's already been
Definitely.
crazy. Man,
Stay safe.
stay safe on the road, please.
Please, yes.
Now, can't wait for the rest of my life. It's gonna be exciting. I already love it so much.
Well, I'm gonna always shout out to my kids because you know, there's so many of them. And just kidding, I'm kidding.
Let me name all 25 of them. Give me a minute.
But yeah, please, everybody, be safe during this holiday season. You know, the rain, the weather conditions. On top of that, if you're drinking, please don't drive.
Take a stroll, Guam sponsor
Yeah,
our podcast.
take a stroll, Guam.
Yeah.
You know, it's that time of the year where everything's kind of getting amped up, and everybody just needs to be a little bit more safe. You know, if not for yourself, then at least for your kids, for your families. You know, and like Art said, I hope to see more women kind of coming around the fire department and becoming fire women soon. And then maybe we can get that badge changed to firefighter, right? Because we got our badges, it says fireman. We are like, wait, hold on, did you misspell this? But
They gave us the wrong badge, girl.
Like gingerbread man. You guys see that recently? Now they say like gingerbread person.
but I really hope that more women become encouraged to try it out. It might be something that changes your life, you know. And
you guys broke the mold.
me and R are always available. If you see us and you have a question
Yes.
about the experience, me and R are always open to you know, encouraging anybody to come.
Good.
Any final words?
Myself,
Come on.
Terrence. Every time you bring someone new on, I'm literally, every time he comes on, he brings on someone new, and it's always an interesting conversation, and I appreciate you for that. And I just want to say I wish you guys luck on you guys' journey. It's not going to be the easiest journey, and I mean, you guys would know better, but I could only imagine. But yeah, I feel like you ladies have definitely broken the mold, and you are going to be an inspiration to the next generation, whether you know it or not, or realize it yet or not. It's a big deal. The reason why people keep calling you to be on their media shows and stuff like that, right?
Well, I hope even if we don't pave the way immediately, at least something that we do during our time at GFD will allow it to be easier for women to come into the department.
Yeah. Not to discredit the
amazing women that came before us.
Right. How many were there? 2?
There were 2. There, to my knowledge.
3?
3.
Was it 3?
Was
Yes.
it 3?
3.
Yes. So 3.
Yeah,
What?
they named 3.
5 total.
And
in
5
the last.
Yes.
Right. And when was the last one? Since the 90s?
I believe so, because she ended her career after 20 years of service about 3 years ago. So
Yeah.
it had been a long time before they brought in another female. And, you know, hopefully it's not as long for the next round. And I really hope that a lot of women come out and try out. And, you know, I know me and R are going to be there the next round, and they're having the physical. We're going to be the 2 loudest ones screaming all that.
They're going to hire you two for cadres.
They're gonna be me and R. They should have a whole female cadre staff.
That's us, girl.
Oh, you hurting?
Huh?
No, we don't have to do PT today. You're hurting. It's okay.
It's okay.
Come.
Let's go eat donuts.
You want a donut?
Horrible.
Oh, you want to use your phone during class? Go ahead. Use your phone. But, yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I had fun.
you.
I hope
Thank
you guys
you.
had
Yes,
fun,
yes.
and appreciate you guys coming through. Again, I'm trying to get this guy by himself, but he likes to bring guests, and I really love it.
He's a cool guy.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sure he'll bring more people.
Yeah. What is this? Number 4, 5, 4?
I think it's number 3 or 4. I forget
4.
already. But
It's
yeah.
4.
7, but who's counting anyway?
Yeah. Well, you guys are episode 168, so
Wow.
68.
I believe 168. I'm not too sure. Yeah. Scratch. We'll edit that part out. Nah, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. As always, much appreciated.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. It is the Merry Christmas time.
Yes.
And Matt loves you. Brian is gonna give birth soon in the next week. So we've been anticipating that over the last 9 months. And Matt's gonna be a Nino pretty soon. Yeah, Matt. Yeah. He can only shake his head right now because he doesn't have a microphone. But Brian in spirit, Matt here, me here. Love you guys always and for always and forever. Peace out.